Okay, I hope I am online. This is my first time streaming, live streaming on YouTube, and I hope somebody's watching me. I really don't know how this thing works. This is a trial, and let me introduce myself. My name is Vaibhav More. I am an animation director from Mumbai, India, and uh, the reason why I'm doing this is a lot of people have asked me questions about how difficult they find to animate the characters. Everybody wants to tell a story and they want to animate their characters, and it's very difficult for them to understand the fundamentals and uh, make their characters move, bring life to their characters. And one of the key things in any animation is animating a walk, making your character walk, because that is what every character does in any film or any story that you see. The character has to travel from point A to point B, and for which you really need to have your character walking. So let me just check my streaming if I'm actually live. Okay, I am live, and I don't know whether people can chat with me or not, but I'm going to still try and see if I can make this thing live chatting so that you guys can ask me question, uh, if at all. uh, I am not able to find any chat settings. Anyways, so it's okay. You can drop your questions or comments after this video is streamed, and I would love to read them. So here today I'm going to give a small demonstration of how to make a character walk. It's very easy if you visualize it clearly in your head. So what is the best way to visualize something and get your idea on the paper, on the canvas? For this instance, we are here on on a animation software called Adobe Animate, which I will be using it for demonstration purpose. And please forgive me if my sound is not very clear. This is the first time I'm streaming live. Okay, so what is the best way to visualize your character and put it on the canvas? Is to visualize your character in the simplest form. And what are the simple forms? uh, Square, circle, triangle, lines, and that's how generally animators design their characters so that anybody can try and animate them. So for example, let's take a let's take a character for which we actually need to first prepare a stage. What is a stage? The place where your character is actually going to walk. So let's draw a ground line upon which your character is going to walk, and your character is going to be standing vertically and walking. So you need to have a guideline which is perpendicular to the ground. So yes, so this becomes your basic guideline. Yeah, now let me just color it with a very light shade of gray so it doesn't disturb much. And I go on to the next layer and I try to first draw the head of the character. And this demonstration, I really want to make this point clear that you really don't need to be a very good draftsman to become a good animator. But yes, if you are a good draftsman, you will save a lot of time in your animation. But if you are not, you still can animate. Okay, so the sole purpose of this streaming is to tell people that anybody can animate. You just have to practice a little bit, right? So let me take another 2 minutes and see if I can actually put the chat window on. Dun dun dun. How do I do this? Okay, I think I will figure that out later on. Um, as of now, I'm just going to keep it streaming. Okay, so this is our character. This is the head of our character, and this little triangle is the torso of the character. Now let's get on to the limbs. Every animation has to, every walk has to have a attitude. You just can't animate a bland walk cycle. So here I'm going to kind of try and give a little energetic walk, for which I've twisted the torso a little bit so that the leg can really stretch high, as if somebody is happily marching towards his home. Yeah, and the other leg is here. So let's just try and stage this as much properly as we can. Yeah, generally in any walk cycle you have to make sure that your character is staged properly in its first frame. So this looks a pretty balanced character. I'm going to put the AC on. It's very hot in here. Um, and yeah, of course there are going to be hands. So you have one leg stretched, so you have to counterbalance it with a hand gesture. So the hands are also stretched wide apart. Okay, so this is a rough uh, staging that I've done, just to show that you really don't need to be a very good draftsman to animate something. So yeah, so this is a rough staging, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one more layer and I'm going to kind of clean up this character. So I'm going to turn this into an outline effect, and I'm going to kind of trace my character on top of this. So let me take a neutral shade, or let's go with dark green. That's okay, it doesn't matter much. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit, and I'm going to, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to animate the hands right now. Let's first focus on the fundamentals, the basics. So I'm going to keep this leg, the leg that is uh, closer towards the camera. So I'm going to this, the leg that is away from the camera is this. Yeah, so this is our first pose, and what is going to be our next pose is going to be exactly the same pose, but the legs are going to flip. So the left leg right now is on the ground, and the right leg of the character is uh, up. So I'm going to switch the contact. So for that, what we have to do, we have to add a blank frame. I'm going to keep onion skin on. This is one of the tools where you can see your previous frames, and I'm going to again draw this character. I'm going to keep the position of the torso same, the position of the head same, but at this time I'm just going to slightly switch few lines and create an illusion of the other leg stretching high. So to make our life easy, I'm going to shade it. So I'm going to add a color to it, and let's see what color I can add just to make our life easy. So this leg is away from the camera. Okay. So these are our two positions. Now, what is going to be our next step? So these are two extremes that we draw. Okay. So we have figured out two extremes. Now we're going to add an in between pose. In between this, I'm going to add a blank frame here. So what happens in this, the next frame, is the character actually gets into a contact position, something that you call contact position in the animation terminology. So I'm going to draw the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this with a different color so that we understand which drawing are we doing, you know. So right now what we are doing is we are actually setting the keyframes. The keyframes are the important positions or drawings in animation which tell the story, right? So for any movement you have to create keyframes so that those frames can actually take your story ahead. So for example, this character, the, the keyframe is the guy marching happily. So this, the leg going up is the keyframe, and the leg coming down and touching the ground, that is another key pose. Yeah. So, and when you're walking, it's actually an up and down movement. Okay. A lot of people generally describe walking as the act of falling and trying to hold yourself before you fall so that you take another step and to fall. So but it kind of you know kind of, I feel that is a, it's a one way of explaining how character walks. For me, it's a, it's a vertical movement that, you know, uh, that moves ahead, you know, along with the vertical movement, the up and down. So for the contact position, we are going to go slightly down, not much, but yes, maybe this much. And what we are going to do is we are going to visualize visualize an arc uh, as where the foot will get in contact with the ground. So for example, we the feet over here is going to actually come and contact the ground over here, somewhere over here. Yeah. So let's try and flip the drawing and see. Okay, so my character is going down and it's going to contact the ground somewhere here. So I'm going to stretch my leg as much as possible, and here you see the contact frame. Yeah, there you go. So this arc that you see is actually what is very important when you are animating any character. You have to visualize the arcs. It's a bit complicated. I'm not going to go much into details right now. So what happens to the leg in the background? It kind of shifts behind. So, but it's still in contact with the ground. So maybe it is slightly lifted on its heel, but it has moved back, right? So yeah, so this is roughly the position of the other leg, and I'm going to shade it with this color. Okay, let me see if the red color is too jarring. I think I'll go with gray. So yeah, so let's see what we have done till now. What we have done is we drew two keyframes, and then we figured out a contact position. So this is where our character is actually contacting the ground. Now what happens when your character has uh, both the feet are extremely stretched, and the body is balanced in the center. The next stage is where it actually goes up a little bit. Yeah, before that, this character might go a little down because there are two positions in a walk cycle which are important to add character. So uh, there are two contact positions. There is a up and there is a down, and then there is something called a passing position. So right now what we are going to do is we are going to go into a passing position. So what is the passing position? So let me add a frame in between, and let me just add a blank frame. So what happens in a contact position? So we are seeing two frames, and in between we are going to show a contact position. So contact position, sorry, the passing position. Passing position is something where actually the character is at its maximum height, right? So I'm going to trace over the head and make it slightly up. Okay, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take reference of a torso, this, and I'm going to select it and I'm going to shift it up a little bit, and I'm going to create, so this leg over here is actually going to be in the center and it's going to be straight. So this becomes our up position. Yeah, but at the same time it is a passing position which is up actually. So what happens to this leg? This leg actually is lifted a little bit and is about to move onto the next frame. So why it is called a passing position? Because the other leg, the leg in the background, is both the legs are passing each other. Okay, that is why you call it as a passing pose. So for example, we are going to take this and fill in the shade for our understanding. Okay, so let's see. So two extreme drawings, and then we have a contact pose, then we have a passing pose, and then we have again the maximum stretch. Okay, so for me this is more of, it's actually done, but to make the walk a little smoother, you have to add one more position, which is a position in between this and this. Yeah, so this is the contact, this is the up or passing position. We have to add one more keyframe over here in between these two drawings. Okay, so let's take the head. I'm going to just trace the head, and the reason why I am drawing in kind of a simplified stick figure style is because uh, I'm trying to explain the fundamentals, the basics, and to explain basics is always good to get onto a simpler shape, a simpler form, and then you can take these fundamentals and you apply these fundamentals on your fancy designs, on your fancy characters. So but unless you really know this, unless you understand this, it will be very difficult for you to animate your character, make him walk. So what happens is the head goes down, the torso also goes down. This is the lowest position of the character. This feet over here, actually after the contact it's shifted back, and the knee is almost perpendicular to the ground, but at the same time it's slightly bent. I like to keep it slightly bent inwards. And what happens to this leg? So let me just keep this off. So this, what happens to this? Yeah, what happens to this leg? This shifts back a little bit to balance the body. Yeah, so we already have the reference of two frames in between, so we know where the arc is, you know. So this is the heel of the next frame, this is the heel on the previous frame, so somewhere here we are going to keep our character heel. Yeah, and then accordingly you can make your adjustments and figure out the rest of the body, the rest of the feet. Yeah, so I think this is pretty much here, this is pretty much done. So this is the half cycle, what I would generally say, and the same cycle is repeated for the other leg. So then it's a very simple thing to do is just copy paste these frames ahead and create a walk cycle. But I can actually just, just for our understanding, I'm going to reduce the frame rate to 5 and I'm going to loop this character, although we are only going to see 1 feet moving back and forth, but still it will give an illusion of a walk cycle. Yeah, so that's pretty much the basics of walk cycle, and I'm going to quickly demonstrate the other side of the leg, how we can copy paste these drawings and create a complete walk cycle. And then we move on to the hands. In a walk cycle, hand are the secondary movement, so they follow the leg, they follow the movement of the entire body, so that can be animated separately on a separate layer. So let me just quickly loop this cycle. Okay, so what happens is I'm going to copy these frames. So for example, let's not get confused. What happens after this? The feet actually goes down back again like this. So we move on to the same contact position. So I take this contact position, copy paste here. Okay, then I take the color, I delete this color and I switch the outline to this leg. So this leg comes in the foreground. So this leg comes in the foreground and the other leg goes back, right? So I'm just going to quickly pick this shade and apply it here. So here we go. Yeah, let's off the other guidelines, we don't need them right now. Okay, so this is the next frame. We take this, copy it, hold on this, copy this frame again here, and all we have to do is switch the outlines, make this leg come front and the other one go back. Again, you can do many variations of the same walk, by switching few frames, back and forth, and you will get a different illusion altogether. But this is an in general example of a walk cycle. You can create variations of this walk. Okay, so this leg comes in front and the other leg goes in the background. So I'm going to quickly take this color, I'm going to fill up here. So, and then from here we come back to the first frame. Yeah, so this is a very basic walk, and now what we're going to do is we're going to make it slightly more smoother. So for example, right now we are on 25 frames per second. We're going to go 24 frames per second. Yeah, and we are going to add hold on these drawings, and I'm going to time these drawings a little bit. Yeah, and then I'm going to see a couple of times. So this looks a little fast to me, so I'm going to add few more holds in between, so maybe there is a good scope of adding two in betweens over here, and then it goes down, and then down. I can quickly go here, and then I can add the same pause here. So now I can get a nice, marching movement. So this frame, this drawing is a key drawing, and I'm going to keep more hold on this. Right now it feels as if it's stuck in mid-air, but we are going to add a couple of more holding frames over here, which will make the drawing look much, the animation look much smoother. So let's quickly go and add a frame here. And how do we do that? You just take this same drawing. Okay. So what I love drawing, so I generally hate copy pasting uh, frames from the previous frame. So I would generally go and I just draw it up. So this leg, actually we can shift it slightly further, slightly up, like that. Okay, so this, yeah, so you have a moving hold over here. The leg over here kind of goes slightly behind, not much. Yeah, and then you have a drawing in between here, which is, again, I'm going to go very fast over here just to show you the impact. I don't want to bore you guys with my drawing skills. So here, so I'm going to quickly draw trace on this circle. I'm going to slightly shift it up, and then I'm going to draw a stretch drawing. It's something called a cheat drawing in animation terms. So this leg, I'm going to stretch it till here, and then let's see what illusion is created, when I do this. This is the fun of animation, is that you can actually break the rules, you know and see, what I'm doing here is I'm just drawing, creating in between drawings. So I already have reference of two drawings, and I'm going to draw an in between drawing over here. I'm going to add few swoosh lines, yeah, over here. The same drawing is going to be repeated on the other side. So see, that's the fun. That is the fun of animation. And believe me, anybody can do this if you practice. It's all about practice. It's all about practice. Okay. So what happens over here is the same thing on the other side of the leg. I take this drawing, I copy paste, and then I switch the leg by tweaking few lines in the foreground. So this leg comes in the foreground and the other one goes in the back, and I just have to erase this in between. That's it. That's it, my friends. Yeah. And then I'm going to take this drawing, press Alt, drag it here, and switch the leg. Yeah. So just couple of lines, couple of cheating lines, and you are ready with your next drawing. Yeah. If I get time, I would go and redraw these, but for the demonstration purpose and to save more time, we got to do this. Yeah. So let's see our walk. Now let's see what happens. Pum, 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 pum. Beautiful walk. Yeah. And now it's time to add hands. So for example, I'm going to go and I can actually draw on the same layer, but I will take another layer here, and I will quickly put my frames here. And all I'm doing is I'm inserting empty frames. Yeah. And then again, what you have to do is you have to really just follow the lead. Yeah. So for instance, right now I'm going to take a red color to explain. So what happens is when this leg, when the right leg is up, you counter it with the other hand. Okay. And I'm not going to go into details of drawing the fingers and stuff. Again, this is just to explain you how to create movement. Yeah. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly just follow my instinct rather than following any principle of animation. I'm just going to see and just keep telling myself what happens to this hand when it is in the movement, what happens to this hand. So it's in a holding position. It's called moving hold. So it's in the same position, but it's kind of moving up. Then what happens? Oops. Then what happens? Go on to the next drawing, and your hand slightly comes down like this, and you can actually stretch your drawings to create that flexibility in your character. Yeah. And then in the next drawing, the feet is already down, so you have to show the hands coming down. And again, here you can actually draw a few swish lines. And then you quickly pass through. These are the passing. So here you can actually cheat. You can actually, twist the elbow to get more, to show more flexibility. As of now, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to follow a basic walk principle. Yeah. And then I go back here. So in the passing position, the hand in the background, yeah, something like this. Yeah. So you see in this position, this and this, is the same position, this and this. So hand actually can go up a little bit, and it actually doesn't matter if you don't follow the symmetry and actually go with your instinct, you know. So it's not necessary the right hand will replicate the exact movement of the left hand. Doesn't matter, as long as you feel the flow of the movement. Doesn't actually matter, you know. And as you keep animating, you kind of judge things, you know. You can judge things properly, whether it's going in the right direction or not. And then again, it's all about animation is all about improvising. So, you know, there is no particular set fundamental rule that, you know, it has to happen in a certain manner. There are few things that you need to keep in mind. Other than that, it's all about improvising and redoing. There is a lot of redoing in animation, so, you know, you might not get it right in the first take. I think I got it. Yeah, I think I got it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take this as my reference, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to draw on this layer. Yeah, and I'm going to try and make it more perfect. So let's go here, let's go in this layer, and so this is my hand in the foreground, and this one is on the other side. The very important thing that I forgot to tell you is you always save your file. Yeah, so I think we'll be done in another 10 minutes. So okay, so you go back, you erase this, and you know, I can anytime go back and see these. I can put the onion skin on, but right now I have a good reference in the background, so I just have to go and, you know, try and fix this as much as possible. So I'm not going to even bother to go back and check if there are any few errors that I have created. I'm going to go with my instincts right now, and I'm going to just try and enjoy the flow. You know, a lot of animators take a lot of time to think and rethink about, you know, whether I'm doing it properly or not. Sometimes you have to go with your instinct, you know. I generally prefer to do my first draft very instinctively, and then see if I can, you know, fix certain areas. So here, this is a tricky frame. Everything is overlapping each other. Here we'll have to erase and first make our vision very clear. So I'm going to erase this, I'm going to erase this. Yep. Then over here, passing position. I'm going to slightly cheat here. I'm going to take this side. And see, you have to, a lot of times you have to just watch and learn. There is not much to explain in every drawing. You have to learn to watch. If you learn to watch, you know, you will learn by watching. I hope I made sense. So try and be alert when you are watching a demonstration, because there might be certain things that might look very simple and somebody else is doing it, but when you have to do it, you might just not be able to recall it. So you have to really observe and be alert when you're watching. Yeah. So here, here we are. We're almost towards the end of this video. Another 5 minutes, I guess, and we will be able to see a very nice, decent looking work cycle. See, if you understand all these, uh, the, the placement of the drawing, you can anytime go and change the details. You can anytime go into details. But if you forget the basics, if you ignore the basics and you try to get into unnecessary details, you are not going to achieve that feel, in your animation. You're not going to feel that life in the character. So you can go into details later on once you get your basics right. Yeah. So that's my one of my advices to young animators who are trying to learn this craft is, don't get into details immediately. A lot of people say God is in the details, but why are you in such a hurry to meet God? you know so yeah, so what we will do is we'll try and pick this color and quickly see how the silhouette looks. I think we have done a pretty decent job. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. And maybe few few things, you can add is, you can add a drop shadow to put a little weight to your character. Yeah. So let's take a shade. Let's take this shade and make it slightly dark. Okay, let's take, yeah, there you go. So let's draw the shadow. You know what I'll do? I'll just decrease the opacity to its minimum so that it doesn't overpower our animation. So there you go. I see a frame that is not drawn properly. This frame. I need to erase this line. Yeah, that's about it. So what I'll do is I'll quickly try to add a shade to the rest of the body, and then we'll see how the silhouette works. So for that I need to really go and close the gaps, if any. See, I missed few overlapping lines. and you can actually go and do a lot of good detailing on top of this basic movement. Okay, so let's take a lighter shade and try and fill this. Yeah, see, once you fill a shade, you can actually feel the volume of the character. Yeah, and then there are a lot of other small things when you get into a detail of a walk cycle, which is the twist of the torso and the shoulder and how to counterbalance the twist. But as of now, we don't need to get into that details. We just need to feel our character move. Yeah, so this is pretty much it. We have a good nice movement going on here. I'm going to quickly delete the unnecessary layers, and I'm going to see if we can do something else in between if you want to. No, I think this is pretty much it. You can go ahead and add in between drawings and make the animation much more smoother. As of now, I think this is pretty much it. I will just try and add two little small dot eyes to give life to this character. So let's go and add. Let's go and add these dots. So a little twist in the eye line can actually give your character a different dimension altogether. So let's see if I'm doing it right. Yeah, see, you can see a slight head tilt happening in the animation. So I kind of got it right. Okay, so let's do one more thing. Let's do one more thing. Let's add a smile. Let's add a smile. A smile will actually complete this entire movement. See how the head is tilting in this drawing? It's just that couple of lines here and there, and your animation really starts looking lively. Okay, let's see. Let's play back. Pum 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 pum. That's pretty good. Now let's do one small little thing to add a little bit more life to this character. Yeah, so let me take another layer and let me quickly add my blank frames. I'm just trying to improvise here. I might not get it right in the first go. I might get it right in the first go. So I'm going to add few strands of hair, and you will see how different the character feels, in the movement. Right now you can just have a look at the character. It's happy, it's good, it's bouncy. Now let's go to this frame and let me draw a few lines. Yeah, like that. Yeah, and see how what I'm doing. I'm just trying to put all my attention on the movement of these three strands of hair, so that it adds more life to the character. I'm going to stretch it a little bit. See, I can actually go and draw in between drawing here, which might make our animation much more smoother. But let's see if we need that. Okay, let's loop it. See, we have a very nice little bounce to the animation. I'm going to quickly save this and I'm going to do a control enter, which is I'm going to preview this animation. Okay, this looks good. So let me just play this for you over here, full screen, and that's how it looks. Let me add a little shade of gray in the background so that we all the white is too jarring. You can actually keep a different background altogether. Let's go and try a simple off-white. Yeah, let's see how this works. Yeah, so there you go. This is the basic walk cycle, and I I hope I have demonstrated a decent example of a walk cycle of your character, so you can try and follow these basic fundamentals and put a life in your character, and you can improvise on these things that I taught you. And we uh, we are going to start an animation course on the fundamentals of animation, and this is one of the first trial demos that we are doing for the promotion of our animation school. So I hope you like it. Please leave your comment. This is my first live streaming, so please forgive me if there has been any technical disturbances. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed walk cycle. Thank you. Okay, there you go.